Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on episode 41, House of Legends. Let's get into it. All right, let's start off by talking about the major thing that they added. Well, one of the major things that they added, and that is, of course, the House of Legends. It's a new hub for both heroes and villains, and as you can see, it's just massive. It's beautiful in design, and there's everything here. So you can find everything. Stuff that wasn't in the game before is here now. And it's just very well organized. You don't have tons of teleporters scattered about. You don't have to memorize where they're all at. You can just come here and teleport where you want to go. Right. There's a new pet vendor. It's just organized. It's all put together. It's big. It doesn't feel cluttered, but there's still a lot here, and I really like that. I think they did a fantastic job on this. It looks amazing. I mean, just this hub is amazing. Everything about this House of Legends is great. There's stuff, like I said, there's stuff in the game now that wasn't here before. For example, the ability to just buy styles for gear. So like the tier one gear for villains, if you're a hero, you can finally get that gear now easily. Like if you really like the way that Doctor Freeze or Mister Freeze gear looked, you can now get that. There's an appearance fender here,
Cheerio,
um,
horses for courses.
with all the hairstyles from character creation. I think these are all just the character creation hairstyles. I don't think there's anything other than that here. Um, and then the character creation skin styles. And I remember way back in the day, we used to have to, for like the skin styles, we'd have to like fly all the way out to some place in Metropolis, and it was crazy. Getting those was like you'd have to know a guy who knew a guy who heard about where you could get the skin style, because you made your guy with the rock skin and you don't like it that much, so now you want to switch to crystalline, but you've already put so much effort into it, so you don't want to make a new character. So you had to know a guy who knew a guy. Um, but now it's just right there. It's great. The House of Legends is great. Next, let's talk about another big update that happened within this update, another big change. That's the fact that all of the episodes are now free. So, membership and the way they do membership saw some very, very big changes within this update. Mainly because they made all of the episodes free. And in the past, having membership, one of the big perks to that was not having to buy the episodes. You can just play them. But now they're free for everybody. So what do they do to make members feel like it's worthwhile? And that's the daily rewards. And I do like the daily rewards. I think being a member, you still get a pretty good amount past what non-members get. We already saw the majority of what we'd see for next month, the month of September, and for this little bit left in August. It's pretty cool. And then
What
there's the
is
new
order?
Dr.
Grant us
Fate
your
daily
favor.
reward vendor. Um, and being a member, what I have now associated that with is every month you get, I think he said, 5 Destiny tokens being a member. So every month you get 5 free seals of completion. That's what I'm associating that with. If you've already got all your artifacts leveled up to the max, then as you can see, 3 of these aren't going to be that useful to you. And quirks are still just ridiculously expensive no matter what way you go about it. 2 Destiny tokens is just ridiculous. But, uh, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on this vendor. So I think everybody will be happy with the daily rewards, and I still feel like membership is still good value, and they did a good job on trying to make it a good value. Let's talk about the next big thing that they did, and this one's kind of divisive, and that would be the omnibus. Um, I like the way it's laid out. I like the way it looks. It's quite nice. And I like the fact that now when you queue for something, if you queue for raids, because it'll queue you for all the raids you're able to play, and you can just, it'll fill you in whatever's first, right? So you're not spending forever waiting in queues anymore. And being somebody who likes to level alts, waiting in those queues was terrible. But now you can just come over here, Omnibus, raids, start queue. Um, the only thing that I don't like about this new Omnibus system, and a lot of people have shared this sentiment from other YouTubers I watch or just people who I've been playing with, that's the fact that when you come to Omnibus, you can click raids and start queue, and you can click like alerts and start queue, but you can't do both. I certainly think they need to make a change to that to where you could select, I want to do alerts or raids, queue up for both of them at the same time. I don't think you should be limited because there are times where I just want to get into the quickest, higher level content or higher player content. So, like an alert or a raid. And I just don't really care which. But there's no real way to do that. You have to choose, do you want to do an alert or do you want to do a raid? So I definitely think that they need to change that. And that brings us to our next topic, and that would be the stat clamping. Now, lots of people have been real mixed on the stat clamping. Personally, I think it's a good thing. I I like it. It doesn't make it too hard. I've gone back and done raids that I did back in the day, like the prison break raid I just did yesterday. And I remember the first time I ran that with some of my friends, it took us forever. Those bosses took forever to DPS down. We had two healers, two tanks for the turret, the part where you had to have the turrets that are shooting at you. Um, so one could take the turrets and the other can tank the boss. And it was difficult. It was very, very difficult. And if somebody messed up, the team would wipe. Right? Now the stat clamping works is you're still strong and it's easy. It's not difficult by any means. It's still easy, but you're not going to be able to one shot everything. You're not going to fly through content. And what they said is that they want to make it feel like you're still powerful, but to where the content's not trivial. And they really hit that nail on the head. I think they did a great job with that because now going back to the prison break raid, I was the only healer on this character. I don't have healer artifacts leveled up. I think they're all still sitting at level 0. I just bought them off uh, John Constantine because before this episode 41 update came out, I had not touched this character since like tier 5 was the highest tier. Tier 5 or tier 4, maybe. I mean, it was a long time ago. This I remember this character was maxed out CR, and when I got on him after episode 41 dropped, his CR was in the 130s. So it's been a while since I played this guy, and artifacts weren't a thing. So I just went, bought the healer artifacts, bought all the artifacts I needed from John Constantine, and I haven't really had a chance to level them because I don't really spend money on this game past a membership. Uh, but even with that, I was still able to heal the whole raid myself. We had one tank, and we just needed to focus on the mechanics. Right? If a few people died, we could pick them up or we could leave them down, and we'd still manage to get it done. And it took nowhere near as long as it used to. It was good because it wasn't zooming through it. Right? It wasn't trivialized, as they said. And it really made it fun, right? It's not just going through and doing it for the feat. You're actually playing the game, and I was having fun, right? Uh, so I think they did really well on that. Some people don't like it, and I could see why. If you're just trying to get feats, now you can't go back into that old content and just one shot everything just to get the feat real quick. But now it actually makes it to where people can play the game, and this is great for new players or people who want to level up alts, because before leveling it up in alt, you'd hop into a raid, you'd wait like an hour for a queue to pop. You finally get that queue to pop. You're like, yes, finally. You jump in the raid, and then somebody one shots the final boss, right? And you're like, wow, that was a great use of my time, and it really just it felt terrible. It wasn't fun, and I not I didn't enjoy it. I like leveling up alts, but that's about as far as I got. I'd end up doing solos and duos for the longest time until I got those alts to current content, because waiting for an alert or queue to pop or a raid queue to pop just wasn't fun. So with that, now queues are super quick to get into, and you don't have to worry about finishing them in an instant. They're still fun, and it's going to be a good time. Um, but because of that change, and because they spent so long on that and this House of Legends, the next big thing with this episode is that they didn't add any new playable content. They've revamped some older content. They've refreshed it. They've given it kind of a facelift, if you will, and they haven't added in any new playable content. And as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen anybody bashing that. I don't think anybody's really has a problem with that, because there's still new goals to strive towards. There's still new OP item with the Save the Universe content. Um, and nobody's really bashing that. In fact, I think lots of people are liking that, because with the Save the Universe, now they're going back and we're playing raids like FOS that, for a lot of us older players who've been playing this game for a long time, like I've been playing it since the beta in 2011, it I haven't played FOS since I was on a nature healer, and like gear mods where you had to run around and collect exo bits to craft into exo bytes. It's so now I'm able to go back and I'm able to play it, and it's a great bit of nostalgia. So I think everybody's completely fine with the fact that there's new content, no new content that's playable. But all of the systems that they've added in have tend to be at least somewhat well received, or there are ways that they can be improved upon to make it just that much better, such as the Omnibus with the ability to queue for alerts and raids at the same time. Um, and now let's talk about the big thing that's very, very divisive. Not many people. It's caused a divide, and that would be allies. So we come over here, we talk to Cyborg. He's the allies vendor. And lots of people are calling allies artifacts 2.0. And that's because that's what it is. There's no beating around the bush. Allies is artifacts 2.0. It's just an extra thing that they've thrown in that they can monetize. Which, frankly, I could see why people are upset. But I myself am not too upset about it. I wouldn't consider myself a super hardcore player, so I'm not too concerned about getting the best ally max level in the fastest time frame, so I'm not really going to spend money on it. But I know people are going to be upset that they're going to have to farm out these new things. I'm just going to let it come, and as it comes by, uh, I'm going to level them up as I can and as I go. So that's my take on allies. I think it's neat. They add in a new bit of functionality to the game, and for casual players or people who aren't too concerned about getting them max level ASAP, like myself, it's not really that big of a deal right now. And the reason I say right now is because on the test server and on the live streams that they've done, there are 3 allies that are currently missing from the game. As you can see, we have the 3 rare, the 3 epic, but there were 3 legendary allies, and that was Flashpoint Batman, Queen Diana, and Emperor Aquaman. And they're missing from the game, and that's because they said that they needed to do some work on them, and they weren't ready to be out yet, which is fine. I have no problem with that, but the issue comes with the legendary allies, and that's the fact that it's almost certain that they're only going to be purchasable from the marketplace. So if those allies are actually very good and they are better than all of the other allies, then it's going to be the most egregious bit of pay to win that we have seen in this game to date. This game does have pay to win aspects. Some people would call it pay for convenience, such as the ability to level up your artifacts faster or the ability to just straight buy source marks. But I see that as pay to win. I think pay for convenience would be the ability to buy more inventory slots or bank slots. That's pay for convenience because you don't need that to be strong, right? It just makes it to where I can be lazy and don't have to go and salvage gear every 5 raids. Or I think for free players, they'd have to do it. They have to do it every 2, 3 raids to salvage their gear or sell their gear. But I could be lazy about it. That's pay for convenience. Pay to win is the bit just buying power. And if these allies are only on the marketplace with no other feasible way of getting them for free players, then that will be pay to win. There's no other way about it. Uh, so we'll have to see what happens with that if they actually decide to go through with that plan and put them on the marketplace and only on the marketplace, or if they decide to put it in Cyborg, or maybe they'll make it a rare drop in Save the Universe content. Or maybe you could buy it from Cyborg with grains of sand and source marks, right? Like maybe they'll do something and it won't just be complete pay to win where the strongest allies are only purchasable if you spend real money. So currently, I don't have an issue with the ally system, but I think it could go very south very, very fast if they do decide to put allies on the marketplace and have them be obtainable no other way. Um, and that also goes for the fact that there's been speculation that there will be allies to drop from time capsules. That I'm a little less concerned about because everybody can open time capsules, but if they're the legendary or the highest, the rarest drop from that time capsule, then I will have a bit of a concern with that because people could open 100 time capsules and never get that ally. Um, but if there's just like a epic ally, say a reskin version of the Flash, does the exact same thing as the Flash, and it's in a time capsule one time, and it's just a rare drop, rare-ish drop, semi-common drop. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if there's a super powerful ally that's just you're going to have to open 100 time capsules and still might not get it type drop rate from a time capsule, I would have a problem with that. So currently, I think there is room for this system to turn very, very bad very, very quick. And that's just about everything that they have added in with the new episode 41 House of Legends update. I think overall this is an amazing update. And I think it's doing great things for the game. So now let's talk about that clickbait thumbnail. So yeah, the thumbnail is very, very clickbait. Is DCUO dead? Um, and the reason for that is there have been lots of people saying the moment they stop releasing new content or DC's going to die. Um, or they've been saying that DC is dying or DC's dead. Um, and I think that is very far from the case. I think DC is very much still alive. Like you can see all the people around here in the House of Legends. We can actually get an exact number right here 53 in phase 9. There are 9 phases. 10 phases, and there are 53 in my phase alone. Like there's tons of people just in the House of Legends right now. This is the amount of people in the House of Legends right now. This doesn't account for people doing raids right now or doing alerts or uh, anything else. And at the time, I play on the PC PS server for the United States, US PC server. And at the time of me recording this, it is about 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So even in Pacific time, it's like 11, I believe, 11 p.m. Uh, that would be 2300 for anybody in Europe who doesn't use AM or PM. So, I mean, it's pretty late. And lots of people, it is a weekend, but typically around this time, you wouldn't have the game, people are starting to log off. But even with that, there's still tons of people online just in the House of Legends, so it's obviously not dead. And I think that this episode is going to do the exact opposite of kill the game. I think it's going to breathe more life into it. The episode's being free and better quality of life changes for free and premium players. I think it's going to bring a lot of people back to the game or convince people to try out the game for the first time. And I think that we can, if they handle this right and they continue putting out great content like this and great updates like this, I think DC will actually turn up on an upturn and it'll be far from dying and actually make it to where the game's coming back to life. We've got another Hawkman over here. Oh man. What is that? Chess piece. I really, really love that chess piece. I don't know what it is, and I need to know how to get it. That chess piece is great. Let me message him real quick. Uh, so, with that, DC's not dead. It's still very much alive, and I think it's probably going to see an upturn in people playing. So, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you didn't, then no.